Hello to my beautiful family of light. Yes, that means you. My name is Claudia and I want to welcome you to my channel. I'm telling stories about my life and going from clueless about life in general and all of the aspects of it to starting to become aware of what's going on around me and myself. So I'm picking up, this is let's see, it's August of 1994. I'm coming back from a summer away, helping a brother build a house. I don't know how much help I was. I stained boards and whatnot, ran errands. But I'm coming back with trepidation to a job that really doesn't want me, and I've been thinking, had lots of time to think about it during the summer. So that's where I'm going to pick up this story. It's August of 1994. So I drove back to Wyoming from Washington State and I picked up my mail. I didn't let anybody know I was back in town. I got my camping equipment and my fishing pole out, and even without food. I always had a camping equipment prepared, salt and pepper. I mean, just a few staples, right? And I wanted to make sure all that was okay. And my tent, and off I went. I took care of getting the house back up and taking care of my mail, and off I went up into the mountains. And I set up a nylon 2-man tent. We're in grizzly bear country, and I'm doing what you're not supposed to do in the fall because the bears are starting to think about food for the winter. They've been eating. Bears are interesting because in the spring when they wake up, they eat grasses and stuff to get their systems going again. So they've had the summer now, and they're going to start shifting into eating a little heartier. So you never go camping in grizzly bear country with a nylon tent. Anyhow, I did. And I set it all up. I get my fishing pole out. I realize the tip is broken on it. So now I'm up there without any food. I need to fish. And along comes a guide who's walking up the road headed to a campsite to pick up some folks, and he comes by, and he stops to visit with me for a minute, realizes I'm trying to put string through a pole that's broken. I have a nylon tent. I'm a woman, and he goes off chuckling, right? But I just go about my business. I'm happy to be back in an area that I love, that I thrived in living here. And so I go down to the river, and I spend, 15 minutes or 20 minutes maximum just having the body remember what it is to cast. And across the river is a little rock with an overhang. You can see it's a dark pool. And I just spend my time trying to get it into that dark pool. And I realize it when you're going over and over and over again, the fish is like, yeah, right. I really want that worm, or whatever it is. And so, but within that 15, 20 minute time, I catch the biggest rainbow trout I've ever caught. It was a 3.5 pounder. And I'm so delighted. I'm thrilled. And I get that thing in, and I take it up to my campsite. I clean it. I get out what I have is foil. Foil and a little, I don't salt and pepper it. I wrap it up in foil. I get the fire going first. I forgot about that. And I clean the fish and wrap it up. And I, put it over the coals, get the rocks around it, and everything getting warmed up. And a couple of women in the campsite next to me come over, and we're chatting through the opening along the pathway. And I said, well, come on over. And so we started visiting, and I went to check the fish, and they went, did you catch that? No. Yes, I did. And I said, and you know, it was their husbands who the guide picked up, and he was taking them elsewhere for the fly fishing. And they had been gone probably an hour and a half. You know, by the time I set up my tent and got everything ready, caught the fish, cleaned it, now it's cooking. And I said, you know, I said, why don't you come and eat this with me? I said, there's way more fish than I can eat, and I'd love to share it with you. And they looked at each other, and one said, well, I've got some bread, and the other one said, I've got a bottle of wine. And so the next thing you know, it's somewhere around 5:30 or 6. It's in the evening in August, and we're sitting down and just enjoying ourselves. And I'm feeling, of course, very proud of myself, but we're just having some wonderful camaraderie and fellowship. Well, you know, they see their husbands coming back, and so they head back over, and we've eaten, and I'm cleaning, and I've got it cleaned up, and I need to clean up around the fire and make sure there's no traces. Of course, you can smell fish, but and they come to find out the husbands did not catch a thing, and the women have already had supper, so they're going to fix a little something for their fellows. And one of them popped over real quick to say, you really did good. Anyhow, you know, the evening wears on. I've got a little fire. I love the mountains and the outlines of the mountains and the trees and the stars, and you can see satellites going by at the same time each night usually. And when it comes time to go to bed, half a dozen people came over and said, you cannot sleep in this tent. And I said, well, you know, we'll see, you know, we'll get it going. At a few minutes later, and I was getting ready to put out the fire and climb into my sleeping bag, there was a big ruckus on the river, and I went over to look, and we're elevated a little bit, so there's a walk down to the river, and wondering what all that was going on, and it was a grizzly bear sitting, and he'd wandered. I could see him wandering up, and then all of a sudden he just sat down and he scanned his turf, right? All these people on the other side of the river who had scrambled up to their campsites, got the kids off the river, and they're all headed to their respective, you know, homes for the night. Nobody wants to go down to the river again. And I watched the grizzly bear as he concluded his observations, get up on all fours and go straight up. And I kid you not, the pitch of that was like this. And he just went, didn't even skip a beat, didn't even have a hard breath, just climbed right up that thing and was out of sight within seconds. And so that's when everybody came over and said, you can't sleep in your tent tonight, there's grizzly bears. And I said, I'll be okay. So, and I, you know, they didn't want to be convinced, but I wasn't going to move. So I actually had a good night's sleep. And about 5 o'clock is when my normal waking time was for work. Or for any time, really. I used to go swimming in the mornings, or, you know, go for a big walk or whatever. And so I woke up, and I'm in that twilight area between awake and sleep. And I'm having visions coming through my mind of the hike that I took, and there was a mountain lion, of the 3 times that I encountered a pair of golden eagles. Each time, 3 times, this pair of golden eagles, probably different ones, flew by me. And in one instance, up at the Bighorn Mountains, I wanted to, it's like I wanted to lift out of my body and go with them, but I caught myself. So we've got a mountain lion, we've got golden eagles, huge golden eagles, We've got a, oh, there's another one. I can't think of what it is now. Anyhow, so these things are all, I'm having this interesting experience internally. And what happened was then this Native American woman comes into my dream, and she said, these are the attributes and the qualities of your totems that you possess. And so, okay, and there was one other that I'll tell you about in a minute. Anyhow, so I'm just, just having this, and it's a delightful dream. I'm in the wilderness and just enjoying the senses are very heightened, but it's within the context of the dream. And I felt that she knew I had developed a reverence that I hadn't possessed before. I knew this for the wilderness and for the creatures, animals, and whatnot that inhabit the forests and the land, and that I felt like I was being honored for that I had opened up, something had opened up and awakened in me. And so the next thing I know, I'm laying there and I hear this and I know exactly what it is. It's a grizzly bear walking up from the river right up to my campsite. And I'm laying there and I'm in this, it's a euphoric state, that dream state, and the grizzly, I can feel his breath comes to my head, and I can feel it through the nylon, and he goes around the tent, comes back to that same spot, and I begin reciting in my mind the desiderata, no less than the trees and the stars. We both have a right to be here. That's what I was feeling inside of me. Anyhow, that's running through my mind. He circles the tent a total of 3 times. And when he's done the last one, and I'm just in this state of peace, acceptance, we're one. There's no separation between us. And then he wanders over to the fire, sniffs around the fire where the fish had been cooked, and goes over to the back of my car, gets in there, sniffs around a little, and then he goes across the street. And across the street, then now I roll over, and I'm right there at the opening to the tent, and I look out, and he gets up on all fours, and he's rocking this camper back and forth, and all of a sudden now I'm hearing lots of people coming to life in the camp area, and the campsites are a little bit far between them, and I can hear way far down some excitement, and then in our area people are waking up. From the camper that he's rocking back and forth, he jumps onto a steel dumpster. They're all bear-proofed, and he is jumping up and down, and I can see that thing caving in a little. And then everybody starts running, coming with guns and whatnot, and off he goes. Well, of course, naturally, people came to see if I was okay, and I was just like blissed out. And I stayed that way for easily 3 days. I went into town on the 3rd day and knew I had to go back to work. And that's where I'm going to pick up the next next story that I share with you. But I wanted to share my the strength, and I'm trying to think of all the attributes of the grizzly bear. So I ended up with 5 totems that are incorporated into my existence at that point, this little city girl. Anyhow, So that's it for now. We'll come back to the story in probably Friday. I'll post one. Well, I may post this Friday and one for Saturday because I got so far behind. I need to do some catching up, and I hope that's okay with you. So anyhow, thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that story, and it's true. It's all true. I do live an interesting life. Thank you so much for joining me. You know I love you this much. You know, it's the big heart. These arms go all the way around you, and you can feel that, I'm sure. Be good stewards of each other. Love yourself. Love this planet. And until I see you again in the next video, be well, stay safe, be happy, and know that you are way more than you think you are. Thank you for joining me.